My name is Jenny. I am 20 years old, and I live in a small house with my father, my stepmother, and my stepsister, Anna. My mother passed away when I was just a child, so my father became my whole world. For many years, it was just the two of us. Life was simple but full of love. Then, when I was 15, everything changed. My father married again. At first, I was happy for him. I wanted him to smile again. My stepmother looked kind and gentle, but soon after she moved in, her true nature appeared. When my father was around, she was sweet and polite. But when he left for work, her eyes grew cold, and her words became sharp. Anna, my stepsister, was nothing like me. She was lazy and spoiled. She never helped in the house, but still, she received the best of everything: new clothes, fine jewelry, delicious food. I, on the other hand, did all the chores. I cleaned, cooked, and washed. My hands were rough, but my heart stayed soft. Every night, I told myself to be patient. I believed that kindness and hard work would someday bring me peace, but life had other plans. Every morning, I woke up before sunrise. I swept the floors, washed the dishes, and prepared breakfast for everyone. My stepmother and Anna would sit at the table while I stood beside them, waiting for instructions. When they finished eating, I cleaned up their plates and rushed to the market to buy groceries for dinner. Anna spent her days laughing with friends, scrolling through her phone, or taking pictures in her new dresses. My stepmother often said, "Jenny, you should learn from Anna. She's a proper young lady." I bit my tongue and said nothing. Inside, I felt small, like a shadow in my own home. My father worked in another city and only came home once or twice a month. When he was there, my stepmother pretended to be loving and caring. She smiled at me, asked if I was eating well, and called me dear. But when he left, her words turned sharp again. Even though I was tired and lonely, I still dreamed of something better. I believed that if I stayed kind, life would reward me someday. When I turned 18, my stepmother began talking about finding a good husband for Anna. She never mentioned me. I thought it didn't matter, until one day, it did. The school fair was full of music, laughter, and bright lights. Anna looked like a movie star in her white dress and gold necklace. I stood beside her in my old, faded clothes, feeling small and invisible. People greeted her, not me. Still, I stayed quiet and smiled politely. While Anna chatted with her friends, I helped an elderly teacher carry boxes of books to a booth. As I was placing them down, a young man approached me. He had a warm smile and kind eyes. "Hello," he said. "I saw you helping. Not many people do that. What's your name?" I hesitated before answering softly, "Jenny." "You're different," he said. "You don't just stand and wait for attention, you actually care." Before I could reply, Anna appeared. She grabbed my arm and said sharply, "Mother is waiting. Let's go." The young man smiled politely but kept his eyes on me as we left. When we returned home, Anna complained that no one had noticed her enough. My stepmother's face darkened. She looked at me with suspicion, as if my quietness had somehow stolen her daughter's light. The following week, my stepmother said something unexpected. "Jenny, You'll wear Anna's nice dress this time. Let's see how people react. I didn't understand her reason, but I obeyed. At the next event, I wore Anna's beautiful dress. For the first time in my life, people noticed me. Compliments filled the air. I felt shy but also strangely happy. Then, the same young man appeared. You look wonderful, he said. I'd like to meet your family. Anna's face turned red with anger. My stepmother's smile faded instantly. That night, the house was silent. My stepmother didn't speak to me. Anna glared at me during dinner. I had done nothing wrong, yet somehow, I had become their enemy. I didn't realize that from that day forward, every act of kindness I received would make their hatred toward me grow, and that jealousy would soon turn my life into a quiet battle inside my own home. The morning was calm when my stepmother asked me to go to the park. She said she needed flowers for the house and told me to go alone. Her voice was sweet, but her eyes were sharp. I obeyed, even though something inside me felt uneasy. At the park, I bent down to pick flowers. The grass was wet from the rain the night before. My foot slipped, and I fell hard onto the ground. A sharp pain ran through my leg. I tried to stand, but I couldn't move. My phone trembled in my hand as I called the only person I could think of, Daniel, the kind young man from the fair. He came running, breathless and worried. Without hesitation, he lifted me into his arms and carried me home. When we arrived, my father opened the door. He saw my pain, saw Daniel's care, and for the first time, he truly looked at me, not as the quiet girl in the background, but as his daughter who had endured everything in silence. You are brave and kind, Jenny, he said softly. I'm proud of you. My stepmother stood behind him, her face pale with anger. She turned to Anna and whispered bitterly, she's trying to take everything from us. Daniel stayed for hours that evening. He brought medicine, helped me rest, and promised to check on me every day. True to his word, he came back again and again, with food, with laughter, with comfort I hadn't known in years. During those quiet afternoons, I realized how much I had missed being treated with kindness. He never talked about beauty or money. He admired effort, honesty, and patience. As my leg healed, something else inside me began to heal too, the part of my heart that had stopped believing people could be good. A few weeks later, my father invited Daniel to dinner. My stepmother and Anna tried everything to draw his attention, dressing elegantly, talking loudly, smiling too much. But Daniel's eyes always found mine. After dinner, when everyone was leaving the table, he turned to me and said gently, Jenny, I admire your strength. I'd like to know you better. For the first time in many years, I didn't feel invisible. I felt seen, truly, deeply seen. Months passed, and my life began to feel new. Daniel and I spent more time together, talking, walking in the park, and laughing about small things. He never made me feel small or unworthy. When he looked at me, I saw kindness, not pity, not judgment. He respected me, and for the first time, I respected myself too. My father noticed the change in me. One evening, he said, Jenny, I haven't seen you smile like this in years. I smiled and replied, that's because I finally have something real to smile about. Daniel became a part of our lives. He often visited, helping my father with repairs around the house and bringing small gifts for everyone, even my stepmother. She tried to act polite, but her eyes were cold. Anna refused to speak to me, pretending I no longer existed. One Sunday afternoon, Daniel came to the house dressed neatly, holding a bouquet of white lilies, my mother's favorite flowers. He looked at my father and said, "Mr. Anderson, I love your daughter. I want to marry her." My stepmother's face turned pale, and Anna quickly left the room, slamming the door. But my father smiled proudly, his eyes filled with tears. "Jenny deserves happiness," he said softly. Our wedding was small but full of warmth. My father walked me down the aisle with a trembling smile. I could see pride and relief in his eyes. He knew his daughter had found peace at last. My stepmother and Anna sat silently in the back. For once, their whispers didn't matter. I looked at Daniel, holding my hand, and felt calm. That day, I realized something simple but powerful: real happiness doesn't come from what others give you. It comes from finding someone who sees your worth, even when the world refuses to. I learned that kindness is not something to be ashamed of. For a long time, I thought being quiet and patient made me weak, but now I understand it made me strong. My stepmother's hatred could not destroy me because my heart stayed pure. Every cruel word she spoke only pushed me closer to becoming the person I was meant to be. There were days I cried alone, wondering if life would ever be fair. But now I see that life has its own way of rewarding those who never give up. The pain I carried became the strength I stand on today. I used to feel invisible in my own home, like a shadow no one noticed. But I've learned that people who stay true to themselves will always be seen eventually, maybe not by everyone, but by the ones who matter most. Kindness, patience, and self-respect, these are the real jewels of life. They cannot be bought or stolen. They grow quietly inside us and shine brighter than any gold. Now, when I look back, I am grateful. Every hardship shaped me into who I am, a woman who knows that love built on goodness will always win in the end. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more touching English stories that help you learn English through story and discover deep, meaningful life lessons.